father is jailed tonight, accused of killing a man who hit and killed his two little boys as they helped push a disabled pickup. Drew Caritas is live in Alvin tonight with more on the story. Drew?
But after an in-depth investigation, deputies say they have the proof that an emotional father tried to take justice into his own hands here along County Road 144. 3 lives were lost and 2 families forever changed.
I'm not going to be the same no more. Because he was everything in this house for me. It was my life.
She's the mother of 20-year-old Jose Banda, a young man who was by no means innocent. Deputies say he was drunk and behind the wheel when he hit these 2 boys. Neither child survived. 11-year-old Caleb and 12-year-old David Jr. Barajas were helping their dad push the family's truck. It had run out of gas just around the corner from home. They almost made it when a car slammed into them, setting off a chain reaction of tragedies. Deputies say what happened next was planned. They believe David Barajas Sr. ran home, grabbed a gun, and returned for revenge. The driver who hit his son was shot once in the head.
Think of it this way. A drunk driver crashes and killed 2 of his sons. And now he killed the drunk driver. Along with his 11 and 12-year-old sons, he was pushing the family truck on the side of the road after it ran out of gas. And that's when investigators say the drunken driver plowed into the group and killed the 2 boys. Yesterday, defense attorneys argued that none of the evidence directly links Barajas to the murder. If the jury convicts him, he could face life in prison. Let's take this to a lawyer. Defense attorney Diana Eisman joins us now. Diana, maybe nothing direct, but these bullets and this holster are a problem for this man.
It's a classic case of using circumstantial evidence in a criminal case. Oftentimes there's a misconception that circumstantial evidence can't be used to prove guilt, but that's not true. The law is very clear in that it allows for the prosecutor to prove beyond a reasonable doubt certain facts that could infer a legal conclusion. But I think the bigger question here becomes, is this a sympathetic defendant? And this is the kind of case that you win or lose in jury selection. Who your jury panel is made up of is going to make all the difference for both sides in this case.
I guess this happened in just the minutes after this crash. You can imagine the heartache and the anguish of a father who just witnessed his two children being killed by a drunk driver.
A jury in Texas today found a man not guilty in the murder of a drunk driver who had killed his sons. Local media reports say in 2012, David Barajas and his 2 sons were pushing their truck down a road near their home south of Houston when a 20-year-old man, Jose Banda Jr., a drunk driver, hit and killed the 2 boys who were aged 11 and 12. Prosecutors say the father then shot and killed the drunk driver after being acquitted today. The father said he is still destroyed and missing his sons as always, but a weight has been lifted.
I'm happy. I can move forward with my life. I can start this closure for me. I can proceed with things that I want to do in life with my family and as a person.
I mean, Jeff, obviously this is just a horrific case all around. I think probably everybody at one point or other has thought in their life, well, if somebody killed a loved one's mine, how would I act? Do you think that kind of thing weighs on a jury?
You bet it does. They're human beings. And, you know, what the defense did in this case, which I think was very clever, was they didn't exactly say he had it coming, he deserved it. They gave the jury an opportunity to acquit, but on the evidence that was before them. There was no eyewitness. There was never a gun recovered. There sure didn't seem like there were any other suspects, but the jury could say, well,
there's just not enough to say beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, even though you know.
Stunning new cell phone video lighting up the internet, a harrowing life and death matter as an officer fighting for his life as a robbery suspect beats him with his own baton. David Lee Miller has seen this. He's live now. What more do we know about the video? What happened, David Lee?
Well, Bill, this is an incident that actually happened earlier this month. Now, the Philadelphia police say this video will likely be used in training. Let's take a look at what was recorded. Here you see a young officer who responded to a robbery. He got into a fight with a suspect. The man was high on drugs. As you mentioned, he grabbed the officer's baton. The officer on the tape repeatedly yells for help. The officer shouted that the robbery suspect was trying to grab his gun. Finally, and you don't actually see this on the tape because everyone hit the deck, the officer did fire his weapon. He hit the suspect as many as 4 times. The officer, we are told, recovering from head injuries. The gunman is facing charges of attempted murder. This matter is being investigated now by Internal Affairs and the DA, but the shooting, Philadelphia police say, appears justified. A spokesman for the police department there says this recording is a reminder of what police officers face every day. Listen.
Every officer has had an instance where they're mano a mano. It's one-on-one, and you're fighting, unfortunately, almost to the death here.
And Bill, if you take a look at that tape, there's one thing that is glaringly missing. Although there was a crowd watching this, no one intervened, no one helped the officer. Fortunately, this had a relatively happy ending, especially for the officer.
The number of police shootings this year, there have been 12.
Today, in response to media requests, the department released video of one of those shootings. News 13's Crystal Gutierrez is here with that video.
And Dick, in the video we're about to show you, the deadly incidents which was caught on tape, it can be disturbing to some. Now, the video is from the Flying J truck stop when Officer Andrew Zawicki shot and killed a man in June. But let's back it up. Now, shortly before, a woman called 911 from inside the trunk of that car. Her estranged husband, 42-year-old Julian Calvert, he was the driver. Now, Officer Zawicki was the first one to arrive on the scene. He approached the car. Then he noticed that there was blood near the back bumper. He then told Calvert to open the trunk. When the officer tells the other woman to get back inside, that's when Calvert lunges at him. The chief says the suspect had a folding knife in his hand. Officer Zawicki shot 4 to 5 times, hitting Calvert in the chest and head, killing him.
People always think, well, there was another option. You could have changed your behavior. You could have had a different reaction. This is a perfect example of what we have to deal with and how very often we don't have that opportunity.
Women in the passenger seat were kidnapped earlier that night from UNM Hospital, called 911 from the trunk, and the dispatcher sent police. A grand jury has determined that the shooting was justified. Dick.
Okay.
Investigators say a break-in turned deadly when a family opened fire on the intruder.
That's the way that I would react. You know, I'd hate to do that. I'd hate to shoot anybody, but if it comes to me or them, I would.
Detectives say the Pena family, a mother, father, and adult son, woke up to the sound of someone trying to get into their home. We're told one of them fired a warning shot as the stranger broke in through a back door.
That warning shot did not deter the intruder. The intruder didn't retreat.
Chief Gary Hester says the man made it to the kitchen, and by then, all 3 family members were armed.
It appears that at least 2 of the family members fired in defense of themselves and their property.
The intruder died in the Pena's home. Police say he was not armed, but Chief Hester says it appears the Penas still might have had every right to fire their weapons.
I mean, that's your castle that reported intruders coming into. So whether he was armed or not armed, when he failed to retreat, they certainly had a right, if it turns out to be this way, would have a right to defend themselves.
And their neighbors couldn't agree more.
I hate the man was shot, and I hate that he died, but, you know, you got to take a stand against this, you know, people that's doing this stuff.
A scary crime showing up in mid-Michigan. It's called Point 'em Out, Knock 'em Out, an apparent game where a person is randomly targeted and attacked for no reason.
A teenager is serving time right now for doing exactly that to a man at a Lansing bus stop this summer. Before we show you tonight's special report, we want to warn you some of the video is graphic. News 10's Alyssa Fensky tells us why it's possible crimes like this have been happening under the radar for months.
On the web, there's countless videos of teenagers attacking random strangers, then running away. It's been reported in cities like Milwaukee, Chicago, St. Louis, and now Lansing. A man waiting at a bus stop for his 6-year-old daughter to be dropped off from school had no idea that he would be the city's first reported victim.
I hadn't had any enemies or any reason to believe that they would be looking or doing anything to me.
We're not revealing the victim's identity for his protection. He was attacked, but not by a punch, by a faulty taser, and was able to protect himself with his own legal concealed carry .40 caliber pistol.
He shoved something into my side. I wasn't sure what it was. It had some force to it. I wasn't sure if it was a knife, if it was a gun.
17-year-old Marvell Weaver was shot twice. He's been sentenced to a year in jail for the attack, but he admits he's getting off easy.
it was just a lesson learned.
But Weaver says this wasn't the first time he played it. Before he was caught, he and his friends had attacked random people on several occasions.
Not many, I say overall, like 6 or 7. I mean, you don't try to rob them or anything. That's just the game.
According to Weaver, it's not gang-related. Teens are playing it because they're bored, and they've been seeing others doing it and getting away with it on the internet. He says he used to play it because he was usually dared, high, and with a bad group of friends.
Somebody just throws out there like, okay, you want to play this, and people go along with it, and one thing leads to another, and it just goes all downhill.
Weaver had no idea that playing it would one day almost cost him his life and land him in jail.
But there's a price to pay if they wind up doing that, and a good example is Marvell. Point them out, knock them out. It's the victims out there. It's just senseless, and there's a lot better things they can do with their time.
Senseless and full of unpredictable consequences.
What they did to me would not have been a joke if they would have succeeded. My child would have been left with the aftermath of seeing her father in any type of way that I would have been left.
In some cases, the point 'em out, knock 'em out game has turned deadly. In 2009, a 61-year-old man from Decatur, Illinois was killed when a group of 9 people knocked him off his bike and kicked him nearly 50 times in the head. 2 teens were eventually convicted in his death.